good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
What's greetings, Earth?
Same genius time.
In the demographic I identify with.
I don't believe you murder.
I think an ignorant voter and a non-voter
what he did. He took the military out
are
before
one and
he
the
took
same.
the civilians.
Same
Who does
genius
that?
channel.
Under his watch.
What
Know
has
something,
he done
bro.
about police reform in this country? Nothing.
Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to Unsolicited Genius. I am your curator, Carlton, and I am joined today by a agitated Gator, Craig Lindo, and another agitated Gator, Mo Lofty. On today's show, we will talk about the State of the Union, why we are agitated, and a little school with that boy, Schoolboy Q. We hope to give you something to ponder. What's up, fellas? What is going on? What is going on?
Here.
How y'all doing?
What up, man? Reporting live from Disney.
Yeah, how's it going? You see Mickey Mouse?
Yeah, man. We had a character breakfast this morning.
Oh, what y'all eat?
Dog, the breakfast at the character shit is phenomenal. I can't lie to you. Little omelet, little breakfast potatoes. The bacon was crispy. It was good, man. Very yummy breakfast. And then he got to see Mickey, Daisy, Donald, and Minnie.
Okay.
Lit.
All right. Are you having fun?
Yeah, dog. I was telling you before the show started, I thought I'd never want to come back to Disney because I don't like big crowds and long lines. I just don't have the patience for it. But to see the joy he gets out of it, it makes it a lot of fun. Sorry, there's a helicopter flying over me.
I dig it.
A lot of fun, man. I love to see him happy, and it's very enjoyable.
I dig it. What's up with you, brother Craig? My apologies. What's up with you, Amish Craig? What's popping? Let me get it together. let me act right.
You know what I'm saying? Just living this life of austerity over here. You know what I'm saying? Every once in a while, I gotta use the devil's electricity to talk to y'all, but outside of that, it's all good over here.
Touche.
That part of this I got a metaphor for the school year. Baseball got about 182 games, right? 80 something, 180
something like
right?
that. A whole lot of
162.
It was about 180 days of school. I look at the school year like a baseball season. Like each day is a game, each period is an inning, and I'm on. I just played the 127th game of the season.
All right, that's some perspective. That is some perspective. I
Craig got them
that.
kids sitting in the dark, Carlton. Y'all don't need these heathens' energy.
Hey, I love how there's this one class period they send a scout in, and this student comes in to kind of feel me out to see if I'm hangry or not.
Oh, the
and then goes back out and
the students send a scout in
before they walk in.
The students send a scout in, so they know how you behave. So
hey,
there's
a certain time of the day where like I might get hangry. Okay. It is what it is. I'm sorry. Okay. They're so patient with me. I love y'all. Thank you.
Well, as long as they understand, right? So you are who you are, and that's all you're supposed to be. So as long as they understand.
My success is 100% based on my relationship with them kids.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, as of the time of this recording, to our audience, we do record. Sometimes we live, keep tuned, and we let you know where we are. But today is a recording, and today is the day before the State of the Union from President Joseph, I think it's R. Biden. So we talk politics a lot. We talk the country a lot. We react to all the things that we see in our lives on the socials, on the TV, medias, everywhere, such and such and that. So it's another year, 2024. We already in March. Craig got a birthday coming up. So my question to you gentlemen is, from your vantage point, what is the state of our union? And Mo, in case Goofy come get you, I'll start with you.
Well, one, I'm gonna be at Disney tomorrow, so I'm not gonna see it. Two, I'd be surprised if Joe Biden was awake by the time this State of the Union happens. What time is this happening? Like 9 o'clock? Is he gonna be awake?
I don't know what time it is.
I
That's
find it
not
hard
so.
to believe he's gonna be awake. Three, I hope he doesn't have like a Mitch McConnell moment where he just freezes up or completely gets lost or forgets where he's at or who he's talking to. And four, man, if you haven't learned by now that, listening to any politician, whether Democrat or Republican, that's a fool's errand, man. You need to pay attention to the actions that they're doing, not the words that they're saying, because they'll say anything to get your vote. It's all about action. And, once again, the state of our union to me, and I believe I've reiterated this many times, is at an all-time low. Look at the two candidates that are presented in front of the country, Carlton. We got an 81-year-old and a 77-year-old. One of them, Biden, and Biden's done some positive things, but I'm very disappointed in his handling of the situation in Israel, in regards to Gaza. I like what he's done with the student loans. I do think he's done some positive things, but we're faced with a man by the time that he's done would be what, 86? If he, God willing, lives that long to end of his second term. And then the second candidate is a narcissist who, in my opinion, has no business running for public office. So I don't understand why we can't give the American people better candidates than what's currently being presented to them. That to me is the state of our union, is how are we here? Like, I don't understand how we're here.
Fair. Craig, what say you?
I don't think there's anything new in the State of the Union. It's just new spins on old topics. For the most part, I think what I expect to hear is him brag on some economical data points that favor him. When I say him, I mean President Biden. And he's probably going to call out the fact that he gave the Republican Party and Donald Trump a challenge on the day of the border visit, and would like to see them respond in kind. But as far as the State of the Union, what I see is the parties focusing on what they want to focus on in order to get the votes that they value. But if they don't value your vote, you don't hear your issues reflected in these commercials or on their platform, right? I am definitely for 2 new candidates, period. Point blank. I want that. Because despite whatever he's about to brag on, he's the current president is out here looking like Netanyahu's little bro. Why are you out here looking like his little bro? That's crazy to me. That's unacceptable. And I definitely want 2 new candidates. The State of the Union, man, ain't nothing new about the State of the Union. It's just what they're choosing to spin in order to get votes, delegates, and support.
And I'm glad Craig brought up that point about the border, man. Like, people really need to wake up. The Republicans keep talking to you about this border. They had a bipartisan deal done to shore up this border or have better security at the border. And Trump told them to vote no because he wants to blame Biden for the issue in this election as one of his talking points. When are people going to realize that this isn't about the people? It's about what they could peddle in order to get your vote. Like, The Republicans had a chance to do something about the border, and they said no because Trump told them to say no because then he couldn't use it as something to bash Biden by in this election. Like these people aren't for the people, Carlton. These people are not for the people. They are for themselves. They do things to garner votes, to push propaganda, to do all of these things. Like they say they're against the immigrants coming in, but then they have a chance to stop it. And look what they do. Look what they do. They hold off on it so Trump can call Biden Crooked Joe because he's letting all these immigrants in and can use it as a talking point to further his own agenda and his political career. Like, to all the people out there that are Republicans or conservatives that vote for this party because they feel they're going to do something at the border, do you still really feel that way? Do you still really feel that way? You just saw them strike a deal with the Democrats together and then renege on that deal because one man told them to say no so he could become president of the United States. This shit ain't about the people. It's about them.
And that is the state of our union. Everything that you and Craig said, nothing to, push back on, nothing to even react to. I think that what I see as the state of our union is the people that we've put in, that we've elected into lawmaking positions, Senate, House, state level, national level. We didn't put them there per se, but indirectly the Supreme Court's state, federal level, they are operating in their best interests and not in the best interests of the people. And the dynamics, when we talk about the state of our union, I look at education, I talk about the state of education, the state of healthcare, the state of the economy, the state of jobs, the state of violence, the state of pick your list of things. But ultimately, the state of our union is not where it has been, not what we're accustomed to, not even what we're accustomed to, what we say we want, because we have our elected officials beholden to the money, beholden to the lobbyists, and beholden to themselves. Donald Trump, to your point, in narcissism, he's clear that that is who he is and what he's about. Now, I did see a brief clip and about a book that's either out or coming out about how dangerous rural America is in regard to all of this, because that's where a lot of the isms are seeming to come from. I'm not one to want to judge, but they're starting to find stats to support these things that make them facts. But ultimately, in that center, you have people who are still in their feelings because the South lost the Civil War. And what Trump was able to do is touch their sore spots to rile them up with anger energy. And he didn't solve their problems when he was president. He won't solve his problems if he wins this, next election. But he has them lockstep aligned with who he is and what he represents. And when you talked about, Joe Biden not even being awake tomorrow, or, for the State of the Union, my concern is that his age will reveal itself. His decline will reveal itself, because I'm sorry, Joe Biden of today is not the Joe Biden, the feisty Joe. I forget what they used to call him, but he's not that feisty Joe that ran against Obama, was Obama's vice president. So at some point, it's gonna, not life or death, but his decline is going to cause for him and his leadership to suffer in his role. And if it doesn't happen in his current term, if he's getting reelected in 4 more years, it's going to be tough. And as much as the right doesn't want to talk about it, Trump is exhibiting those same traits too. It's just happening from a different plane, a different part of the spectrum. Joe is slowing down. Trump is starting to make less and less sense. He talking that crazy talk. So, but they get up there, they, for whatever reason, neither party was able to find a viable candidate. And well, we know the Republican dynamic, why they didn't find a viable candidate, but the Democrats, for whatever reason, can't seem to galvanize behind somebody that will, lead the party and have the potential to lead the country. And I don't understand why that is, because that's what they did with Bill Clinton, despite, his ways of not judging him, the man, the person, the president, but he galvanized, they galvanized Obama, they galvanized, he galvanized, there was hope, there was energy. Why can't they duplicate that? I don't know. And so I think the state of our union is not as good as it could be. The state of our union is suffering. And with who we have as our presidential candidates post yesterday's Super Tuesday, now that Nikki Haley's dropped out, the future ain't bright.
They can't galvanize Carlton. Their candidate is 82. If they galvanize, he can't make it to the party. You don't have the energy for that. Like, this is, if there is an age requirement for how old you have to be president, there should definitely be a limit on how old you can be to be president. Like, they're both too damn old. I'm not being ageist. I'm just stating the facts. They should be enjoying life somewhere, enjoying the final chapter of their life with their grandbabies, with their kids. They shouldn't be making decisions. And to your point about, you got me hyped up now. To your point about these poor people that Trump has galvanized in rural America, I have simple questions for them. One, when have you ever seen Trump engage with your people before he needed you to vote for him? Because Trump has trampled over poor people his whole life to get to where he is in life now.
There's evidence
that
of
is
that.
One. That is one.
Oh.
Two, what did Trump do for you when he became president, other than enacted policies that just made you feel good about yourself? It didn't change your circumstance. It didn't change your socioeconomic status. It didn't create more jobs for you. You just got to be like, well, if you're one of these racists in rural America, you're going to be like, well, he understands us. But how does that make your life better? How did that further your life and make your advance you and your family in this life that we live today? I just don't get it, man. Carlton, Trump doesn't even talk policy at these rallies anymore. He doesn't even talk policy. He's, like you said, he's jabbering on about things that make no sense and giving people nicknames like a 12-year-old. And never once is he talking about policy. He's not talking about healthcare. He's just same old line. I'm going to end immigration. They're throwing drugs over the border. He keeps saying that the immigrants coming into the country are criminals, but that ignores the fact that are some of them criminals? Yes, just like some of our population, that citizens, they're criminals too. That is not the majority of them. The majority of them are here to better their circumstance and their family's circumstance. He just keeps highlighting the same propaganda to inspire, I guess, rural America to get out and vote for him. But he's not doing anything to make your life better. He's not.
And I think that speaks to the state of America. There are things that are more important to his base than well-being, be it their well-being, be it the well-being of others. And as we talk, the isms, racism, sexism, whatever the isms might be that circulates throughout that particular group, And next time I'm gonna make sure I get the name and title and author of that book, because it might actually be a nice little book club read. But all that to say, there are things that's more important. And the one book that I have read is Dying of Whiteness. And they're very clear in that book and what it's about, that there are people who would rather go without healthcare, go without financial well-being in order to ensure the Blacks and the Mexicans don't get it. And Trump is representing that energy, representing that group. Not all Republicans, just to be clear, we're not talking about all Republicans. What we are talking about, a significant size group of people that are 1,000% behind Donald Trump. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Craig.
Think about a poor Republican real quick, dog.
Hold up, Mo. Craig was
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Craig.
Yo, you laid out a stretch of good decisions by the DNC, and I agree with a percentage of that, but they failed me when Bernie actually won it and they gave it on entitlement to Hillary.
That's fair.
I can't speak for everybody, but I do know that there are other voters like me that at that very moment, you lost me. I respected the meritocracy. I respected the democracy. That was not a show of either. So that's personally when they failed me, right? And ever since that, when you've been making decisions off entitlements, he's been so loyal, doing so much work for so long, he should be the nominee. Like, that's what led to this. And now we're seeing this. And we have to watch his decline. This is as bad as watching Jordan with the Wizards. It's horrible. I'm not saying he was Jordan-esque as a politician, but I'm saying right now what I'm watching is Wizards Jordan. Like, it's just not what I stopped watching basketball because of it. I mean, in part. And what's up?
No, I was gonna say, it's funny that you brought that up, because for whatever reason, and it came to my mind today that the only time I saw Michael Jordan live was when he was with the Wizards. I went to a Heat game. So, so it's just irony, serendipity revealing itself. But
it plays out like a little trigger. You know what I mean? And you mentioned people or portions of the population still being in their feelings. I think that's going to be reflected in something we talk about later, and also reflected in the reversing of the abortion decision. There's a portion of our population that felt that was wrong, and now that the reversals that have happened, they feel like a wrong has been righted. You know what I'm saying? They got their lick back, their get back, along that energy. So, and again, I like to reiterate 2 new candidates. I don't want, choosing the lesser of 2 evils is still choosing evil. Bump that. I don't like it. You know what I mean? And the idea of Trump calling somebody a criminal with his criminal behind is like, come on, man. Come on. That punchline wrote itself. That's great.
I mean, Craig, this definitely ain't the first time the DNC has let us down. Definitely ain't the first time. It's far from the first time.
I just was pointing it out.
I won't even go there.
Damn.
Not the first time. But to Carlton's point, though, if you're a poor Republican, right? Do rich Republicans want Trump to win this election? Yes. You know why? Because they feel like he'll look out for them, their money, their best interest. By that fact alone, that shows you he's not going to do anything for the poor people in this country. He's going to look out for people that are of his ilk, that are his boys, that run in the circles that he runs in. Yet these poor people, for some reason, have bought this It's like Carlton said, man. They're willing to stay poor, to hold on their right, to say the N word with the hard R at the end, to call Mexicans names, to call Asians names. It's like you could still do that and vote for your best interest. Be as racist as you want, but let's vote for your best interest so you can progress in this life too.
That goes back to something I've said a long time, man. Like I view that as a red flag when I converse with somebody and I hear that they are party over principle. Like, and I feel like what you were just spoke on reflects that little contrast. Some people, it's die hard for the party, screw the principles involved.
I mean, I saw the last election between Biden and Trump, right? Or no, I'm sorry, Trump and Hillary, right? There was a family that said, who are you going to vote for? They said, we're staunch Republicans. We're staunch Republicans. So we're voting for Trump. The guy looks at him and goes, well, has Obamacare benefited you? The guy goes, it's the only reason why me and my wife are alive. The only reason why they're alive, Craig. He goes, it saved our lives. It allowed us to get health care that allows me to be here talking to you now. So the reporter looks at him and goes, well, you know, if Trump gets in, he's saying he's going to get rid of Obamacare. He goes, I know, but I'm still going to vote for him because I'm a staunch Republican, and I'm just going to hope he doesn't do that. You're willing to hope on your life because you're a staunch Republican?
Yeah.
That's an
That's
insane
the answer.
thought process, man.
What the genius has figured out, politics is marketing. Marketing has proven to us you could have people spend interest, time, and energy against their best interest. We get them to buy things that kill themselves, eat foods that deteriorate their health, and all kinds of other things. Propaganda works, marketing works. We've watched the common cold and the flu get remarketed in the last 4 years. What are we talking about? Rebranded. Like, I mean, how and the rebranding is still just as toxic as you go from one nickname to the next. You're still who you are. You know, whether you're going from P. Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs, Puffy, all these other little brands, Mr. Love. Okay, you could rebrand politicians and issues. Hell, we don't even have the courage to call slavery anymore. We call it people trafficking. What are we talking about here? It's brilliant. So yeah, what Donald Trump has figured out through his reality TV years is that if he comes with the salacious, he could win off of attention. Attention pays, attention follows. He doesn't have to talk about an issue at all. He could just get salacious and go on the Maury Povich, Jerry Springer-esque kind of platform because one, it excites the rabble among us, and two, rich people they barely care either way which party. I think they're partially divided on a couple financial issues, but maybe mostly some religious issues and a couple other things. The rich people in neither party don't give two flying windowsills.
I mean, one thing that I think Trump's really figured out and the Republican Party's mastered is they realize reality means nothing. Perception is everything. And they keep tapping into that perception to feed their base.
Marketing.
Yeah, the other thing I'd say is, since you brought up Diddy, do you think if he really slept with Meek Mill, he was telling him, take that?
Man, you know, we don't have it's so much wrapped up in Diddy, right? I don't even know.
We just took a left turn.
I don't know if we're not gonna do Diddy. We're not gonna talk about Diddy and what he do today. But we're gonna have to circle back because there's a problem. There's a problem. There's a clear problem in the game.
Carlton, my bad. I threw Mo that alley-oop. He had to do it.
He's gonna take it. We'll, he hyped because of his magic. We'll come to that in the sports. But I think all valid points from our perspective. Clearly, there are other perspectives across the planet or across the country in terms of what's happened. What is the state of our union? It's a couple things that you all touched on. One is the influence of the money. You know, the money is what it's about. We've known that, we live that, but it, you know, I think the question at some point comes to what end, because we have people who are dying. We have quality of living in the country has declined. We are in a virtual war, a digital war that we are not winning because we don't have a citizenship that's talented, trained, and educated enough to go out and protect us on our devices. So, and then you see, as Mo mentioned, what's happening. You know, Ukraine is still at war. The Middle East is back in, back
We're
in
still
another
at war.
war.
We're fighting that Ukraine war.
Ukraine, the Middle East. So all of these things are still happening. The Middle East, is always something popping there with them and us, and the decisions that we make and think we would learn to just do better. But it seems to me that what's most important to the people who we have put in elected positions is not us. And when you brought up Bernie, Craig, I wonder, while that's not the DNC's only mistake, I really wonder if that was, I wonder if that was the nail, one of the nails, if not the nail in the coffin. Because Bernie was old. That was the excuse, that one of the excuses that they used. Bernie he was too old. But now look where we are.
Bruh, I'm just saying, for the record, I've never, and I think I've been clear on this, I'm not a part of the Congressional Crips or the House of Pyru.
Right.
I'm not affiliated with either party.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I know that there are other people like me, though, that you lost me, definitely, quote unquote, the independence or whatever. And I'm also willing to go out on a limb and say you lost they lost a percentage of the party that they may have won at one time, considered part of their base. And that was a big domino.
They did. Bernie hyped people up. There were people who were strong for Bernie. And I think had he lost fair and square, that would be one thing. But it was some behind the scenes manipulation, maneuvering, and some shenanigans that said, you two, et tu, Brute, that whatever we perceive the Republican Party, the GOP being about, you, DNC, are about those same set of shenanigans.
Well, I think the problem,
you devalued the vote of a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, because people didn't think it was on the up and up. But I also don't feel like Bernie was going to win either. I am a big fan of Bernie Sanders. But the one question that Bernie could never answer is how he's going to pay for all that shit. Like, everything he was speaking about was good, but it's like, one, how are you going to pay for this? Two, how are you going to overcome them calling you a socialist? Because in this country, that word is like a cuss word. Right. So that would be something that would have been critical for him to overcome. And then two, I don't know how he was going to pay for the programs that he was talking about, because what he was talking about was amazing. I just don't know how he would get to there to pay it. The other point, and my last point about Trump irritates me with Rule America, to Carlton's point, is Trump has kind of positioned himself as like the common man. And it's like, when the hell has Trump ever been the common man? The hard working man. Like, it's enough for me. It's like Trump is eating caviar, drinking champagne, and getting like gout, the disease of kings. Like, when
so you're saying you don't have to work hard to market. Got it.
I don't understand how people. The other one that I find to be rich is the one where he positions himself as being a religious man. It's like, what? When has he ever
selectively so?
but that's
When have they ever been a
the
religious man?
Bruh, you know what? I'm beginning to think Uncle Sam or the population's enamoration, their love affair with Trump is a reflection of their own crappy self-esteem.
no,
I don't know what it is, man.
that I mean, it's
I look at
connected.
myself and I see a piece of work, so I'm gonna also vote for a piece of work because I could identify with a piece of work.
But the scary part, fellas, is in this day and age that we live, we're not willing to call an asshole because he's an asshole. Like, that's the part about him that just is an absurdity to me, that anyone could think this is a good man. He's not a good man.
Well,
There's
but
nothing about him that
It
suggests
might
he's
be
a
what
good
comes out
man.
the asshole, but let's not debate that.
That's the hypocrisy of America, because what you have, he's demonstrated that he can be a true blue jerk, right? He's demonstrated that. But when you watch any network that covers him with favor, they don't speak to it, they don't touch it, they don't call it out. And these same networks represent religious entities. I read an article, The Billionaire Bully, and Tim Dunn wants to turn Texas into a Christian theocracy, and he does so through the religious right, which is also represented in the Republican Party. So you have Trump in one dynamic, and then you have Jesus in the other dynamic. And it's not as popular as it was, a decade plus ago. But what would Jesus do? Now, you could say, would he be for either party? All those things. I don't know. And I could see scenarios where he would not be. But
he's turning up at the temple.
I also know that what is exhibited by Donald Trump is not aligned with what Jesus taught. And when we get into children being murdered, Jesus would speak to that. When we talk about healthcare, Jesus healed. So where I am totally lost is how with the Republican and the right, this marriage between Trump and Christianity have united. I don't get it.
If Jesus was here and saw that Trump was talking about he's a man of Christ, Jesus would change the letters to WTF, because he'd want to know what the hell is going on. Like, that's insane. And this is not a podcast where we're advocating for either candidate, because I started off the show telling you I don't believe Joe Biden is going to be awake tomorrow for the State of the Union, because for either, and Joe Biden is going to have to live with himself and his soul and his conscience for the decisions he's made as it pertains to Israel and Palestine. Like, that's something that he'll have to live with for the rest of his life. But just in decency alone, I just don't see how anyone could think Trump is a decent man. Like my question to anybody that looks at him is like, you want your children to be like him? Like, would you, if your children grew up to be like him, would you be satisfied as a parent?
His camp might. They might.
I appreciate your views as spiritual beings, conscientious human beings, but if there's one thing I've learned from my time here is that doesn't mean anything here. Like, it's Darwinian, and he's out there living his best Darwinian, politically speaking, life. Like, and
well, I hear you, Craig, but to me, being a good person still means something. You could still be
Oh, it means
successful
something
and have the money and
to
have
me.
all of that and be a good person. My greatest success will, as a parent, in my eyes, will be if my son is a good person, if he has a kind soul, if he looks out for others, if he cares about his fellow man and woman and just doesn't worry about himself and his well-being. Like
clap, clap. You get a clap, clap. You get a clap,
that
clap.
shit has to mean something still. It has to mean something.
Yeah.
Like it because to
I'm not
me,
debating that.
it's the most important thing in the world to me. Like, and Trump is the antithesis of being a good person in my mind.
Look at SAT words.
With that said, I want to shout out the University of Florida. And one of the things that I think we all ran into there between our education and our work life is that there is always a difference between theory and practice. Like in theory, you want your leader to be a good human being, but in practice, most of them have sucked.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll leave it there because we're going to talk about University of Florida when we come back from our break. This is Unsolicited Genius. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. Wherever we are, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, like, if it's something to be liked, subscribe if it's something to be subscribed to, and follow. That's how we grow our reach. It's how we grow our brand. Welcome back, Unsolicited Genius. What in the sports? So, gentlemen, Emmitt Smith, growing up, my favorite running back, and also our chapter fraternity brother, Zeta Kappa, the world famous Zeta Kappa chapter, University of Florida. So he is in the news, not for his athleticisms, but because of the University of Florida terminating, eliminating, firing, removing, releasing all of its diversity, equity, and inclusion roles, positions, programs, services, books, notes, cliff notes, all that stuff, right? And so Emmitt, which from where I sit is kind of unlike him. I don't know that I've heard Emmitt hop into politics before. I don't know that he was Republicans buy Reeboks too or Nikes too, but I just don't know. And it's no judgment. It is what it be. But he's speaking up because the University of Florida has done this. So, and his call is for athletes to wake up, athletes to speak up, athletes that are coming to the school to think about what they're coming to. But you're in Florida, Craig, currently. Mo and I from there, but been gone for a little while. So I'll start with you. What was your reaction to that news out of our school, the University of Florida?
I am disappointed, but I can't say that I'm surprised. Recent hires, including president, some other folks, and the direction we've been going in, I can't say I'm surprised, even though I am disappointed. I do stand by Brother Emmitt in the words and sentiment of his letter or media release, whatever the proper term is. I do think it is going to create a rather toxic environment. I wonder if it hits our bottom line in other places, will we run this back and retract it? But hell, I don't even like saying we right there. You know what I mean? I don't. I'm a little grossed out by the whole situation. There's once upon, like, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. I took the nail down in my classroom. I'm good. it's just weird to me. And this is not the first decision in that direction, but it kind of solidifies where they want to go, and maybe the value of certain students. And they don't, from their perspective, they might be thinking they're creating a meritocracy, and I get the logic behind that. But I am still disappointed in the decision. I do roll with Brother Emmett on it, and I do think that people that are offered scholarship or that are offered whether athletic or academic or otherwise should factor it into their decision as to why they don't choose the University of Florida. And if they are able to be public about that, fine. As far as on the more shallow end of the conversation, what's going to happen athletically, we're going to be a hybrid between Ole Miss and Vandy.
Not even Ole Miss.
Yeah, no, yeah, between, and not above Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Barely
Okay,
above
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I follow. Yep.
Yeah, that's the range.
Uncle
The
Mo.
old Ole Miss and Vandy.
Uncle Mo.
I mean, I don't blame Florida, man. It's that douchebag DeSantis. Like, he's the one that started these initiatives. Florida's a public university in that state. He's put his people in charge. He wants nothing to do with diversity because he's a fool too. He thought if he took the page out of Trump's playbook, he would get to be the presidential nominees for the Republicans, and it completely backfired on him. And now he looks like the clown that he is. And Florida's worse for it, man. Florida might as well be Cuba. They might as well just merge Cuba into Florida because he's like a fascist dictator who goes after anyone that is against him, including the place that I'm at right now, Disney.
Yeah, they did have a little battle.
He went after Disney. That didn't work out well for him because they outsmarted him because it doesn't take much to outsmart him. And it's not just the University of Florida, it's any public school in Florida that's going to eventually resort to these means, man. It just happens to be Florida is the biggest public school in the state. And it is what it is, man. I don't blame the University of Florida. I blame the governor of Florida.
So educate me a little bit, right? So I know public funding. I know DeSantis said no more funding, but Florida got a lot of money. So
yeah, but he put in the president. It's his hand chosen guy. That ideology lines up with DeSantis.
So I don't know that I was aware of that aspect.
The gentleman that he dropped out of, like, he was a congressman. He went and got him out of Congress so he could run the University of Florida in the manner that he sees fit. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's a puppet for DeSantis.
I guess that's what I get for not reading emails, because they talk about the president, the searches and stuff like that. But, I get so many damn emails. So that's on me. So, my reaction, I think, to talk about Ole Miss Vandy is in between both of you. I'm surprised they didn't do it sooner. And at the same time, I am disappointed that it has happened, that they are following suit. And it's definitely throughout the state of Florida, but DEI is under attack nationwide. So what would have spoke more volume to me would have been had the University of Florida stood up. But to your point, I didn't realize the connection between the president and DeSantis. It was intended to not happen. It was intended that they wouldn't stand up, that they would align and follow suit. So my question as Gators, what can we do, if anything?
I mean, the only thing that could be done, man, is if people want to do the right thing, that are major donors to the University of Florida, and say they are not going to donate to this university until these programs are put back in. But you and I both know that's not going to happen. So I don't think there's anything that could be done other than what Craig is talking about. If you had a majority of these predominantly African-American athletes decide to shun the University of Florida because of these policies, which I would encourage them to do, it's not going to change.
What about the minor donors? You know, I give a couple bucks every, couple of quarters. Should the
They
minor
don't care
donors,
if they lose your money.
well, if enough of the minors add up, right?
Yeah, but you would have to have a significant amount of money that gets donated to the University of Florida from boosters would have to stop coming in. If that happens, then they would change their tune because money talks, dog. Like at the end of the day, whether racist or not, money talks. Because a perfect example of that would be segregation. They hated black people in the South, but they still let them sit in the back of the restaurant because they wanted their money. It's not like they told them they couldn't be in the restaurant. They just made them sit in the back because they wanted their money. If Florida took a major hit and started losing money, they would go back on these archaic firings that they have. Diversity is something that should be accepted, man. And you know what's annoying, Carlton, is people just look at it and they think about black people when they hear diversity. But we're talking about the gay community. We're talking about black people. We're talking about Hispanic people. It affects a multitude of people, and those people need to stand up and fight the good fight too. All of these people you need to unite against this nonsense. Like Florida's president is anti-gay. Like he's anti-gay. So what else is he anti that he's not telling us? Because what we love Outkast on this show. And one of my favorite lyrics is from Andre 3000. And Carlton knows it because I say it to him all the time. No one is free when others are oppressed. And this is a perfect example of that.
All right. Joe, you're going to have to cut this part. Hold that. I'll be right back.
Got it.
Why are we looking at a picture of Carlton in the field?
This is giving me dating app vibes.
Is this like his dating picture? Is that your dating picture?
It gives dating app vibes.
Clearly, you pay no attention to me on social media. That is my business. That is my profile.
Why are you in the field?
Picture. Because it worked out. That's all. That's the picture I have everywhere on this planet. If you see a picture of me, that looks
like you're about to pick cotton in a sweater, in a Cosby sweater.
Nah.
Anywho. All right. So, Joe, we back in 3, 2, 1. So one of the questions I had was, what can we do? Money talks, I get that. Big money talks bigger than little money, I get that. Little money does add up. There are people, me included, that sit in various positions of influence with the university. So I also think it behooves us to start to ask questions, because if you eliminate the DEI positions, how do you ensure that you maintain Black enrollment, Hispanic enrollment, Asian enrollment in the College of Business?
Of the population.
How do you still ensure that the medical school is diverse and putting diverse candidates into the healthcare industry? So there are questions and all sorts of things, I think, as alumni, as graduates, that when they call us for a donation, when they ask us to sit on a board position, that we can ask them. Craig, you have something?
How could they tell you they're not interested in all that diversity without lying to you, but still get your money?
Say that one more time.
How can they tell you that they're not interested in any of that diversity, equity, inclusion stuff?
Right.
And still get your money? Because that's it at this point. Look, this is such a smaller piece in a bigger issue. This is connected to the censorship of textbooks, the erasure of certain people from history, the rewriting of history. All of these things are connected. There was too much growth of Black families, fathers returning to the home, and a Black middle class in the last 35 years for them to allow all this thing to continue. So no, they don't want it. what I think one another question is, when are we going to accept that they don't have an interest in DEI? They were forced to do it. They did it resentfully, and now that they could get up from under it, they got up from under it. How do we accept? When do we accept? How do we accept? How do we act when we accept that they don't really fuck with us the long way?
See, to be honest with you, Craig, I've never gave a damn whether they wanted to accept it or not. I was glad they were forced to accept it because it made our country a better place.
And how
It
do you
made our
behave when you're
country
forced to accept something?
It made our country a better place. But dog,
How do you behave when you are forced to accept something?
I know, but they were forced to accept that they couldn't hang us from trees. I'm forced to accept that.
That's not that. Okay, we're conflating. Never
That's
mind.
the same thing. Just because you're forced to accept something doesn't mean that it's wrong. Like
That,
some things are.
you brought in
like,
another
you know what
issue.
Lincoln
You
said to
dirtied
the
the
South
topic.
when they took away slavery? One of the things he said is you got to learn to accept that if I take away your right to oppress people, that we might become a better country for it.
I brought up an
something
idea.
is wrong, it needs
for the
to
record,
be changed.
I brought up an idea.
But it sounds like y'all are saying the same thing. To where I sit, y'all are saying the same thing. So what is our disconnect in this, on this particular?
No, but Craig is saying, what he's saying is they were forced to accept DEI, which he's absolutely right. It's not something that they voluntarily wanted. He's absolutely right. What I'm saying is I don't give a damn if they're forced to accept it. They are better. We are better off for it as a country, as a society. I'll give you a perfect example, man. Now with all of these things that could keep minorities out of education, right? Medical field, doctors, all of this, right? In our country, and Craig has used this word wisely many times on this podcast, meritocracy, meaning it based on merit, right? So anybody that becomes a medical doctor, in my mind, in this country, has earned it because it should be based on merit if you're going to be in that position. But even with all that, a Black woman is 3 times more likely to die in a pregnancy than a white woman. How is that possible? They're going to the same schools, getting the same education. But when my wife had our baby, we made sure we seek the Black woman to be her doctor because they don't take Black women seriously when they're pregnant, when it tends to be white doctors. 3 times more likely, Carlton. 3 times.
No, I mean, but that's
diversity is needed in all fields, in all aspects of life, because it makes all of us better for it, man. Right. It's just we are a better society when we are a diverse society. What is American food? Hamburgers and hot dogs?
All right, hold
We're
on.
eating Chinese. We're eating Mexican. We're eating soul food.
Mo, you're getting fired up. Hold on. So Craig, so in recognizing that diversity benefits the country, when, to your point, how do people respond when something is forced upon them? They reject it, they resist it, they push back, they don't like it. So where were you going with that?
No, I think it's strategically irresponsible not to consider how your opponent or the other side or other interest groups may react to something. So whether the pushback takes 2 hours, 2 days, 2 years, or 20 years for them to fight back, reverse it, you know what I'm saying? Nullify it in some way. I think what I'm saying is it is strategically responsible to discount that. We've learned that none of these things, whether DEI, abortion, whatever, is ironclad. So it's one, get it done, and then keeping it done. Now, as far as DEI specifically in the short term, couple of things. All right, so maybe nonprofit entities can grow to support students at our alma mater that are now losing support structure as a result of what is being lost in DEI. It sounds like you're asking for a suggestion solution. That's just one off the dome. It sounds like Go to other institutions. I'm not saying necessarily what we've labeled HBCU, because half of them are still white owned. But you need to get your education elsewhere. And if we're not wanted as a part of theirs, fine. Just keep them the fuck out of ours. Let's go. Right? And as far as the just to be clear, I am definitely for diversity and inclusion and the government and other entities reflecting the population. I am for it. But I also know that there are people in power that are against that for various reasons. And I think it'll be poor strategy for me to not consider their reactions and retaliations to the things that happen, even if I even if I know that I'm on the side of right. There's still, you know what I mean? I still got to factor that in.
Well, I asked the question, right? And what do we do next? I think what I would offer to our listeners, some of whom will be Gators, we really got to think. We really got to think. My son has a few more years before he's college ready. Does he take his talents to University of Florida? Several of our friends have kids that have graduated from University of Florida, so it's something to tout, to be proud of. And I do think that even the small dollars do add up, and so we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see. I think it is the way of the country shifting. In devaluing diversity, equity, inclusion, at least if not amongst the people in general, in from the vantage point of the politicians and in turn the decision makers, i.e. University of Florida's president. But in terms of us, minorities, Blacks, Asians, Hispanics, being educated, we're going to find a way. Now, to Mo's point, when we talk healthcare, when you talk industry specific, there will have to be more work done. And it's not going to come in the form of an organization just choosing to have DEI, to affirmative action it, to go against the margins. But I think, as you articulated, Craig, we're just gonna have to get creative. We're just gonna have to get creative because it's not gonna come from the sources that it's supposed to come from. So that said, this is actually politics in our sports section. So I'll let it in at that. So in sticking with the theme of what in the sports, everybody breathe in their nose, breathe out their mouth. Let's release the State of the Union. Let's release the census. Let's, release the stuff. We're going to have to deal with it tomorrow. But for now, let's release that stuff, stick in what in the sports, and talk about the NBA. Because my Miami Heat, I feel like they won like 5 out of the last 6. Had a tough go of it at Denver. But since the All-Star break, they've been winning. And I need to check where they at, because I think they had a chance to move up in the rankings. So my question to the two of you, are you now excited about basketball? And if so, what are you excited about? Start with Mo.
I'm excited about my Magic. My Magic are falling. We're competing with the Heat for the number 4 seed. We're only up by 1 tonight against the Wizards, but hopefully we pull through, because the Wizards only have 9 wins. We need this win, Craig. We need this win. Forget the noise in the background. I'm in a toy store. I'm excited about my something. It's been a long time, and we have a great young player in Paulo Banchero, and I'm super pumped about the Magic. For clarity, the Heat in their last 10 games are 8-2. Carlton's Heat. But, the Heat are tried and true, man. They always do this. They're crap at the beginning of the year. They tighten up at the end, and then they give teams hell in the playoffs. So They got a
Yep.
Hall of Fame coach. They got a tough as nails leader in Jimmy Butler. They're no joke, man. You got to take them seriously.
And
Milwaukee's playing a lot
Bam is
better.
balling.
Yeah, Milwaukee's playing a lot better. This is Bam's best year ever to me. Milwaukee with Doc Rivers is finally playing defense. They're winning games. The Celtics, the Celtics look like a juggernaut, but you almost feel like you can't trust them for some
You
reason.
can't trust
They
them
just
till
give
they
me
get
that
to the
feeling
playoffs.
like I can't trust them in the playoffs until they do it. So in the West, I think, I don't know, man. I just think like you have to see Denver because Jokic is he's like a player we've never seen this kind of player, man. Like he's big, he's slow, he's 7 feet, but he's like the best passer in the world. He's
He can shoot a
rebounding,
three.
he's hitting threes, he's shooting, he's unbelievably efficient. I don't think Minnesota is a true contender, even though they're the number 1 seed right now. I don't think OKC is a true contender, even though they're the 2 seed. I just think they're a little young. It's a little early for them, maybe next year. But, I don't know. In the West, I'd be shocked if it's not the Nuggets. In the East, I think you got some teams out there that are competing, man. The Heat, the Bucks, the Celtics for sure. The 76ers are done. If Embiid being out has killed their season. The Knicks season's going to end the same way it always does without them getting the championship. But I'm excited for it, man. I really am. I'm looking forward to the end of the year.
No, indeed. Craig, what are you seeing?
I'm really trying to remove my bias against the Celtics, being that I've
He's a
loved
damn
the
Lakers
Lakers
fan.
since Kareem and Magic.
I don't like
I'm
the
waiting
Celtics.
on you to say the
You
Lakers
don't got to
are gonna
remove
make a
it.
run. Say
You
that,
don't got to
Amish
remove
friend.
I don't. It's hard for me to say nice things about the team that wears green in Boston. So I'll acknowledge that they're in first place in the East. I'll acknowledge that.
I mean, that's a fact.
I acknowledge the fact. Yes. I'm getting ready for politics.
Is acknowledging facts.
I'm getting ready for politics, baby. You have your soapbox.
This dude, man.
I'm not impressed with the East. I think I'm not sure. So because I don't think the rest of the East is that strong, I'm scared of I'm scared of their win-loss being a little bit inflated. I want to see the matchup with Denver coming up. If it ain't tonight, it's within the next couple of days. So it seems a little inflated to me. So I'll stay on that. As far as the West, let me tell you something. Keep an eye, West or East, keep an eye on every team that averages more than 25 assists per game. And if they're doing that and they're still in the top 4 in either conference, they're a problem. Like that's the crosshair right there. I cheer for Anthony Edwards because there's something about the way this guy plays basketball that appeals to me.
Yeah.
I kind of like the young blood thing on the Thunder, but I don't know if that's going to carry into the playoffs. I don't see it yet.
Did you see when Anthony Edwards missed the tip-off the other day?
Yes, I did.
Craig, explain this to me, dog. He's there. He's there. He's in the locker room doing his rubber band stretching. That's what he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said he lost track of time. He didn't think it was weird that he was the only one in the locker room?
Apparently it is normal for him to miss the point where they call his name. He misses the introduction, but comes out in time for tip-off. So apparently that's kind of common for him, and it just kind of got thrown out of sync. I think at that price point, you need to have an assistant designated to make sure that he gets out there after they call his name, but before tip-off. Yeah. Like, fuck it. I will quit education and do it.
Oh, you want the job?
What?
You'll take the job?
I'm sure they pay more.
I feel like that's a sign right there that they're not ready to win a championship.
You think that's a sign? That's indicative. That's indicative.
But we're not ready. If we're not ready, man.
Apparently, it's a routine for him to miss the intros, or maybe not a routine, but he regularly misses the "Here's Anthony Edwards" part, I guess.
All right.
How did they even allow him to miss that part? Like, that doesn't make sense.
What Craig
Dude,
said,
I don't
at
know.
that price point. At that price point. If that's how he rolled at that
Man,
price
I'm a
point, you let
star,
him
and
do
that's
what
on
he
my
do.
rider. What are we talking about?
So
I gotta buy a shirt for Johnny.
So
How
the
much you think this
Celtics Nuggets are battling against the State of the Union tomorrow, Craig. Well, it's 9:00 my time, so 10:00 Eastern. So maybe Biden will be in bed by then. I don't know, because we didn't establish what time it starts, but I you make a valid point just looking at the stats. The East, the gap between the top and the bottom in the East is much bigger than the gap from the top to the bottom in the West. So I think playoff time is gonna for sure be super exciting in the West Coast games. We may get, the one and done in the East with them early series, maybe, because I know Indiana's competitive. So, whoever they match up with, they may shake something. The Heat did it last year. So we'll see what happens, obviously in the championship, if it's, the gap between the Heat and the Nuggets last year, because I know what it was. I was cheering for my team. I was excited for my team, but I know what we were up against. And I knew what we were up against when we played them a few games ago. So, we'll see. But that's what I appreciate about the NBA season. If your team makes it, you get a few games. And if they win a series, you get a few more. And if you're a Heat fan, they may take it all the way to the ship. And, they may not match up well, but you at least get to enjoy the journey.
Scrappy goes a long way.
Until it comes to an end. All right. So what in the sports? We'll leave it at that. Are you entertained? What have you gentlemen in our time apart been listening to?
Well, on the plane ride, I watched Oppenheimer, man.
I said what you listen to. What you listening to?
Oh, what have I been listening to? I'm sorry. I just been listening to a mix of like mellow rap songs, to be honest with you. Simba. What is the name of that song, man? Simba's got a song, Can't Win for Nothing. I've been listening to that. I've been listening to some Outkast, DMX. I love that song "Slippin'" by DMX, dog. Like, I just love that song.
It was on repeat for me.
Yeah, I love the song. It just speaks to like a common man's problems in my mind. Yeah, I got the playlist. Where's my little playlist?
Oh, we lost Mo. What you been listening to, Greg?
Yebba's Heartbreak.
Yebba's Heartbreak.
YEBBA. Yebba's Heartbreak.
I
believe it's associated with a Drake track. But I found a 2-hour loop on YouTube, and so I listened. I love it. It is peaceful. It is the perfect background for where I'm at right now. Like, it keeps me in the right state of mind. So I turn no matter what the volume is, that's on repeat. That 1 hour, 2-hour loop.
What was that again?
Yebba's Heartbreak.
All right, that
so
sounds
is
like
it
Amish shit.
one song on repeat, or what have you landed?
It's really been that on repeat because the Yebba's Heartbreak is, there's no real verses. There's a little bit of there's mild accompaniment and like really beautiful vocals. And I would try to sing it right now, but we all know I can't sing, so let me not do that. Don't do that. But I kind of like that refrain playing in the background, whether it's work or home or whatever. That's been what I'm on right now. If I'm voluntarily listening to something, that's what I'm listening to.
Okay. You pull up you got your playlist. Go ahead.
Flippin', DMX, Smile, Scarface, and Tupac. Can't Win for Nothing, Simba. Blue Laces, both of them by Nipsey Hussle, Blue Laces 1 and 2. Thug's Mansion by Tupac with Anthony Hamilton, and Higher, Nipsey Hussle and John Legend, man. That's been my little rotation.
Blue Laces be having me feel like I'm him.
Oh, dog. Blue Laces 1 and 2, classic.
I mean, you better fix your tone.
I'm telling you,
I be
man.
feeling like I'm him.
Well, I so appreciate the playlist, Uncle Mo. I appreciate you even having, I know you guys Pac sit someplace in your heart, so I appreciate that. I myself have been listening to Schoolboy Q's Blue Lips. Listen,
I'm a Schoolboy fan, so I ain't hear the project yet, but I'm a fan.
I'm Kendrick fan. I like the camp.
TDE.
I think they might have separated. I don't know the status today. I had to holler at y'all boy Vlad. He's the inside information person in that regard. But
Shout out Vlad.
This project is some grown man stuff. And I remember in my teens and 20s not imagining that a rapper could rap past 29, but then to be significantly past 29, your Hov did it. I thought there was an ending point. There's not an ending point. So shout out to hip hop and her ability to thrive over time. But as we've talked about it, Lane, we talk about this music every episode. Clearly, there's a dynamic of hip hop that we don't vibe with. And with the volume of music that comes out and trying to keep up and listen and connect, when I get somebody that plays some stuff that just speaks to me, whether lyrically or musically, it fills me with so much joy. And what Schoolboy does on this project is jazzy. It's jazzy, and he's rapping, but he's talking. He's making sure he's got thoughts that have value, and if you pick up on them, on these beats, on these tunes, you might grow from them today. All right, so what have you gentlemen been watching?
What I found interesting for me, well, I've been nerding out on like combine video, pardon me. Besides nerding out on combine video, I found Cat Williams popping up on where was he? I'm going blank right now. He popped up again, Joe Rogan. And I enjoyed that. I know I could get some of my fix in regards to various things, whether various topics, and they kind of went all over the place with it, and I enjoyed that a lot. Okay.
Was it how was it similar in tone to what he did with
It wasn't
Shannon?
as salacious in terms of name dropping, but it spoke more to it addressed religion versus spirituality versus I guess what some might call the occult, all that stuff that you would expect from Joe Rogan, but you might be surprised or may not be surprised at Cat's responses to some of those same things. But he didn't go in there putting other people on blast this time or getting salacious with particular headlines. That wasn't the game.
All right, I'd look for that. I'd be curious. Joe Rogan is controversial on Black Twitter and probably some other places. So I give everybody their space. So I definitely would be very intrigued to see what a conversation between the two of them might go like. So
hey, you got an in with Black Twitter, and they never really kind of let me in. Can I sign up?
I have
because you're Amish.
I have people who report out. I can't. Twitter is relevant, but I can't stay on Twitter. It's not even Twitter no more, right? It's X. It's
Who the
just
hell is
so
calling it
much.
I still ain't download that update, but okay.
It's so much out there. I mean, it's relevant. The podcast, we out there, unsolicited is out there, but I don't be on there. It's just too much.
Who the hell is
What?
calling it X?
So you snuck it in already. So you've been watching you watched Oppenheimer, Uncle Mo.
Yeah, man. I had
What did you
8
think
hour
of it?
flight. Well, I want to share with the people. I went to England to watch my favorite football team in Europe, or soccer team in America, Man City, play. We won 3-1. It was exhilarating to be there. Really enjoyed the city of Manchester, man. Really enjoyed it. Plan to return. On the way back to the States, I watched Oppenheimer, which is 3 hours long, and it was excellent, man. I thought it was very well done. You know, once I watch movies like that, I always like to do my research to see how historically accurate the movie was. And it was fairly close to being accurate. But, you know, Oppenheimer just shows that our country, once they've used you up for the purpose that they want, they will turn on you and paint you in a different light in order to further another agenda. So I thought it was excellent, man. It's definitely worth a watch if you have 3 hours of time. For those that don't know, Oppenheimer was the gentleman that was in charge of the Manhattan Project, which gives us the atomic bomb. He had many regrets about creating this weapon. And
Yes, he did.
And he realized the impact of what they did in creating this weapon. And when he started speaking out against them, our government was not happy with him against that. And they proceeded to paint him as, you know, as a communist, because he had many communist affiliations. Though he definitely had many communist affiliations. He himself claimed to never have been a communist, but he was affiliated with people that were. But you know, I appreciate that the man realized that what they had created was something that could just devastate this world in so many ways, man. And I was actually talking about this with one of our frat brothers earlier, because we were talking about the situation in Haiti. And it's like, you know, he was like, they need weapons in order to bring civility to their situation. But it's like, any country that doesn't have a nuclear weapon is not competing on the world stage with the countries that can do, because they always have a one up on them, you know, an ace in the hole, which is, I could drop a bomb that could annihilate your whole country. And if you don't have that capability, you know, you're behind in this race, or whatever you want to call it, because of the creation of this bomb. And that's just the fact of the matter, man. If you're a country that doesn't have a nuclear weapon, you're not stepping to America a certain way. You're not stepping to Russia a certain way. You're not stepping to China a certain way, because they have a capability that you are incapable of. And that's just the fact of the matter, man. It's like, you know, what's interesting, fellas, is all the countries with nuclear weapons do everything in their power to make sure the countries that don't have them don't get them. And
Yeah,
one of the things, and one of the things that, you know, America loves to say is, oh, we don't want these countries to get them because they'll be irresponsible with them, their leaders. But you know, we're the only country that's ever used them. We're the only country that's ever unleashed the fury of these weapons, and we did it twice. So,
for the record, we are watching the attempted colonization of Haiti.
That's what you.
I mean,
that's what you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what's going on. That's why the lack of intervention, what may be labeled as strategic, that's the whole reason. Look, the land is too mountainous. Basic geography. Everywhere where that is mountainous and you have that kind of variety in topography and climate, you got gold, oil, diamonds, and other resources. None of these nations with red, white, and blue flags want to see Haiti succeed. Not a single one of them.
That's that manifest destiny.
I mean, I think that the issue for Haiti, and you know, I'll just end it with this, is, you know, Haiti's the only country that had a slave revolt and successfully gained their freedom from the French. and it's been nothing
Exactly.
but negative.
Talk about Carlton, people still being in their feelings.
It's been nothing but negativity towards Haiti, and what seems to be like a mission to keep the people of Haiti down. What I would like to see in Haiti,
still salty about it.
And one of the things I think one of our frat brothers who is Haitian has articulated, and I agree with him, is the people of Haiti need to figure this out like on their own to become self-sufficient, and that is going to be their only means to save their country, save their people from being taken over. It's just the reality of their situation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I would like to say this without losing my black card again, but every time I think strategically, people take it away from me. If depending on where you stand on the world stage, you're gonna look all them resources just a couple miles away. Depending on, you might not let that happen. You might not help them out. You might not want them to be independent, especially since in the scramble for Africa is still going on, and we're not necessarily winning in that. Other partners with the same flag colors are, but you got this thing just a couple hundred miles off of your coast, dog. They don't want Haiti stable. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying that's what I think we're watching. The intentional passive-aggressive destabilization of Haiti, maybe not so passive.
Okay. All right. Well, we staying highly political today in all the little sections, so I'll just add my little tidbit real quick. I've been
My bad,
watching.
dog.
No, it's all good. It's what it's about. I ain't hating. I'm just acknowledging. I've been watching Mr. and Mrs. Smith with Donald Glover and Maya Erskine, and it is, Black Twitter, from what I understand, isn't necessarily overly happy with it or takes issue with it, as this Mr. and Mrs. Smith is an interracial couple, the original, with Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, where Brad's life has shifted and never been the same. But needless to say, Donald Glover, I find to be a brilliant artist in music and film and everything he does. I think he's that savant in the sense that his creativity crosses over into multiple areas. I'm not a fan of fashion per se, but I peep game, and even in his fashion and what he fashions forward in his various shows is indicative of his creativity. So he brings that to the Mr. and Mrs. Smith spy secret agent world, and even for him to be in an action sequence of events is not what I would have expected, but he pulls it off. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I have enjoyed significantly, and I hope that they go for a season 2, because I also think the two do very well as a couple on screen. All right, so last little bit before we get up out of here, what have you all been reading? Nothing? You hide your face?
I've been reading up, like I said, man, on Oppenheimer. The movie piqued my curiosity, so I always follow something up like that by trying to do my own research. Because to be honest with you, I just don't trust media. So I feel like I have to conduct my own research to verify facts and stuff and see what was, 100% legitimate, which I would encourage, really all people to do. You can't just take it as their word. So I've just been reading up on Oppenheimer and all the scientists that were involved with it, man. The guilt that he felt, how he was persecuted for talking about how these weapons, can't be trusted in the hands of governments, which led me down a rabbit hole to read more about Einstein, who definitely didn't trust governments and politicians. And that's what I've been reading up on, brother.
I actually want to
I've been more on a video wormhole, bro.
All right. Well, it's a judgment-free zone. You know,
Yeah.
it's a judgment-free zone. I ain't, you know, we gonna keep you. We gonna keep you on the show. We not tripping. You know, every week ain't, you know, a reading
Appreciate the
week.
grace.
No judgment. I myself have been reading Build the Art and Science
Real
of Getting
quick,
Happier.
I'm gonna have to go.
Oh, you out?
I'm trying to find the exit, but just real quick, man. Don't listen to Carlton America. He judges Craig for not reading. He be sending little slick messages telling us we better read. Craig, I'm lying.
I'm behind on my reading list. I'm behind on my reading list.
I don't act like that.
Don't edit this out. You know it's true.
Like that. I don't act like that. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And just because even if I'm stating a thing, it ain't necessarily a judgment. You know, is the sky is blue. The sky is blue. That's all. But no, I don't act like that. So don't get kidnapped by Mickey and Minnie Mo. Enjoy the rest of your trip and travel back safely.
Yeah, man. Guidance on the road, brother.
Thank you. I love y'all boys, man. Y'all be safe.
All right, love you back.
Right.
Flick the baby boy on the forehead. Tell him it's from me.
I will.
Yeah, effective discipline. All right. So what I've been reading. Yeah. Oh, please. Well, I know he's smart. I know his mama. That part is covered. I ain't tripping. All right. So I have been reading The Art and Science of Getting Happier, Build the Life You Want by Arthur C. Brooks, co-written sort of by Oprah Winfrey. The art and science is a true component of what this book is. It's very straight to the point. It hones in on some very specific areas, starting with self, which as a coach, that's where I work in my program. Shout out to all the Ultimate Spark participants. And you start with self. And so he spends several chapters really telling you, one, to look in the mirror, and then finishing it out by saying, don't look in the mirror so much. But then he includes that basically, to be happy, there's a formula to it. And between what you do professionally, who you surround yourself with, and your relationship with yourself, that is what the difference makes. So, we point at what we have, we point at what our title is, we point at how much money we make, we point at what vehicle we drive, we point at the community and the size of our home. All those things have merit, all those things are relevant in the quality of your life. But when it comes to being happy in life, there is no easy formula. And so when you start with self, when you can't change your family, you accept your family, you don't let meaningless things like, I won't say meanings, but trivial things like, do you vote left? Do you vote right? Prevent you from relating to the human. You be honest about your job, your profession. Is it aligned with who you are and what you value most? One example for that. There's a man in the story. He in the book, he complains a lot about his job. Makes a decent salary, but he's just unhappy with his work. He complains. So finally at dinner, his wife says to him, you complain a lot about a place where you spend a whole lot of time. What do you like? Well, I like the drive to work. I enjoy that. And I like when we take breaks and I have a chance to just talk with my coworkers. So she jokingly suggested, well, maybe you should just drive Uber. And what did he do? He quit and started driving Uber. And he makes less money, but he has more time with his family, and he meets on a consistent basis amazing people, or at least has conversations with amazing people. And he enjoys his car. So he spends a lot of time in his car. So maybe an extreme, maybe not an option. You know, maybe Uber isn't an option.
Not extreme at all. Makes sense.
Uber wouldn't be an option for me. But just as a singular example, that in recognition that what was the statistic? Only 13% of the population really enjoys their work anyway. That means that what is that? 77% of what am I doing? 87% of the rest of us, 87% of the rest of us are somewhere below loving what I do. So you want to be happy. There's no magic formula. Otherwise, we all would be drinking it. We all would be taking it. But there's things that you can do. And so eliminate the noise, which is always healthy advice, and do some introspection, do some self-assessment. And, you know, being that there's a book about it, The Art and Science of Getting Happy, Build the Life You Want, Arthur C. Brooks, is a great read that will help you see some of these things differently. And so on that, we'll take a break and be back to tell you goodbye. Welcome back to Unsolicited Genius. Some housekeeping before we get up out of here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow wherever we are with all that we do. We're out here. We're communicative. We're present on the social media. So like, share, follow, all that good stuff. Shout out to the super producer, Joe Nitty. Thank you for making us look good. Thank you for tolerating our shenanigans. We make you work, but we love you for it, and you do good work. So, and the people are pleased. So shout out to Joe Nitty. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to our sponsors, Legacy Wear. Your legacy awaits at www.legacywearus.com. Megacore CBD, broad spectrum hemp derived CBD, the way nature intended. Find them at www.megacorecbd.com. Aura Rainwater, hydrate and elevate. Find out what them and what they do at www.aurarainwater.com. You know, when I say aura, it's like, I don't know if that's my accent or whatever, but it's aura, A-U-R-A, rainwater.com, aura. Aura Kelly.
Like
the aura. All right, and last but not least, Carlton in his coaching, where I coach. This is my day job. This is my passion and my profession. What I would like to share is be your light. And you can learn more, find out more about what I do and how I do what I do at www.carltonissco.com. That being said, I got a lot of things brewing, workshops, retreats coming. So hit me up, check me out. If you have some needs, you got some obstacles, some resistance, some stuff that you're working through, holla at your boy. Any shout outs before we get out of here, Craig? Shout outs to anybody.
Nah, man. Just, hey, man, everybody that's just putting one foot before the other, keep doing it. We all out here fighting something. And I might not know what you're fighting, and I might not be there to help you with it, but I want you to win your fight. So keep fighting.
All right. All right. Well, thoughts of genius before we get out of here. You know, I bring us back to our discussion of diversity, equity, inclusion, and inclusion from the aspect that as much as the rest, as the country, state of Florida, the country, organizations, corporations, companies are minimizing, eliminating, removing, decreasing, underfunding, defunding activities in that space, I would encourage those who are in those spaces to keep their heads up, because where the institutions have said you are not needed, we know the truth. We are better for our diversity. We are better when we are inclusive, and we cannot truly be free if that freedom is not equitable. So to the United States, to the state of the union, with regard to the state of the union, we can do better. And if we don't, the country is going to suffer. So this land you love is not intended to be forever. Every dynasty falls. But you are assured of that fall if you are dismissive of your people. And I believe rural America has valid points. Rural America has not been treated fairly by its government. Rural America suffers. And they too would benefit from diversity of thought. They too would benefit from inclusion. They too would benefit if, as it says it is, as we sing at the start of every game, as the students still pledge in school, rural America would do better, be better if things were equitable. So join us next week, same Genius time, same Genius channel. And for whenever you are, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Craig D, Molat. You are listening to Unsolicited Genius.